Hey everyone, I'm Lindsey Smith, and welcome to another episode of the Outlet Podcast. Today joining me is the Hall of Famer, Ann Meyers Drysdale. Annie, thank you for hanging out with us today.
I love hanging out with you, Lindsey.
Thanks. You always make me so nervous because I'm always so
You're
excited to be
this.
around you. Thank you, but I don't know why. It's like all these other athletes, it's like whatever, I don't care about them. But Annie, I'm just like, oh,
You do a great job.
thank you.
You do. I love having the opportunity to work with you.
So obviously, you're a Hall of Famer, and the Hall of Fame inductions just happened this past weekend. We've got another friend in the mix in Paul Westphal. How excited are you for Westy and that accomplishment?
Well, I know a lot of people that did go in this past weekend, and knowing Paul growing up in Southern California, and he played basketball at USC, which I went to UCLA. He was a little bit ahead of me, but everybody knew who Paul Westphal was, and just the mark he made in Southern California. And then when he went on to play in the NBA, and my brother David went into the NBA and played against him, and certainly he was back in Boston, then came here to Phoenix, and again, knew a lot of guys that had played in Phoenix at that time he was playing, and so happy because not only just as a player, but what he did as a coach and being under Cotton and what he learned, and he's so easygoing. And I think that his attitude just, as a guard, and what he never panicked, and that showed as a coach too. And I'm just so proud of him and so happy for he and his family.
Yeah, he was on the podcast last week, and it was so fun just getting to learn a little bit more about Westy, because everyone else who works here has basically grown up with Westy, but I didn't get to,
Right.
Whoops. Clearly, I didn't hang that up very well. But I didn't get to really grow up with Westy in that way. So sitting down with him for a couple minutes and getting to know a little bit more of his story was really cool before the actual Hall of Fame inductions. Okay, so I want to talk about a lot of your accomplishments because, like we mentioned, a Hall of Famer. So clearly the accomplishments are there. But one of the things I wanted to kind of pick your brain about was just working in sports, and especially as a woman, because you've done so many firsts for women in this industry. So kind of just like, what has that been like for you to see how that landscape has kind of changed throughout the years?
I grew up in a large family, and I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters, and so my oldest sister was probably the best athlete in the family, and my dad played basketball at Marquette, so we were exposed to basketball at an early age, and growing up in the 50s and 60s certainly was not conducive for a lot of girls to play sports, but yet we did, and our parents supported us, so we didn't know anything different. I didn't know that I would be in sports in my life at this stage, and certainly basketball has been great for me, and it's opened up a lot of doors, and I love the game. I'm passionate about it, and still learning and understanding how it changes and everything. But it's a game that it not only basketball but sports in general. I mean, I just loved. I loved competing. My brothers would make me compete, and I only got better because of that. Certainly seeing my older sister compete in basketball, volleyball, softball, and she played pro softball, and I was able to play basketball with her in volleyball. But it just, seeing that whether, gender was a part of it, it really wasn't for us. And but to be able to see that, knew that it was going to continue to happen. But certainly during the course of my lifetime, and so many women that opened doors for me, and then Title IX came around, and the opportunities, not only scholarships to get a college education at UCLA because of Title IX, and to play basketball. I played volleyball and ran track there and tried out for tennis and did a little rugby. And so, I loved doing that. And same thing with broadcasting. I mean, just meeting somebody by chance and taking a class at UCLA with Professor Art Friedman just opened the doors for me. And there were not a lot of women broadcasting at the time. Didn't know that I would do it. Was in the Olympics in '76 because of basketball, and still at UCLA competing, and was hoping to go to the '80 Olympics. And then the WBL came around. I was the number 1 pick, the Women's Pro League. Then I was asked to try out for the Pacers. My brother was playing in the NBA, and just things kind of fell into place for me. It's not like I had plans or I had goals that this is what I was going to do, and certainly so many people have really helped push my career to where it is today.
Right. So that Pacers experience, I feel like kind of did a lot
40
for
years
you.
already. It's 40 years that happened.
Well, still the only woman to sign an NBA free agent contract, but within that was you became the first woman to provide game analysis on an NBA broadcast as well, right?
Right, and didn't know it. And there were some other women that were broadcasting, and certainly ESPN had just come on board. So when I had my tryout with the Pacers back in 1979, it was the first year of ESPN. And so that, and I think ESPN has really changed this landscape of sports in this world. And it's given opportunities to women to be in front of the camera and behind the camera, and just so many more ways to be involved with sports. Because not just ESPN, now there's so many more outlets
Right.
and podcasts and because of the internet and so forth. So there's great opportunities.
And we're seeing that especially within the NBA. We've seen like Stephanie Reddy and Sarah Kustak doing actual analysis for games along with
And
yourself.
Sarah played at DePaul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how have you kind of seen this league embrace the diversity amongst their broadcasters and who can actually be an analyst?
Well, I will say not just in the NBA, but the business is becoming saturated. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people want to get in this business, and it's not easy to do. So to have a woman in the NBA to do broadcasting, I think kudos to the ownership and kudos to the broadcast teams. And because to me, working with you guys, it is a team.
Yeah.
And certainly be in front of the camera and behind the camera. Everybody that works so hard and to get such a good product out there. It's not just the players out on the floor. And I think that's important, and I think a lot of people kind of forget about that. And not just TV, but radio also. And the fact that we have Al McCoy, who's, the longest tenured broadcaster in the NBA, I mean, is like pretty awesome to be around Al and to hear all the stories he has. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy that not only on the broadcast side, but we're seeing it on the coaching side too.
Right.
And so certainly organizations are opening up.
Yeah, I mean, you were also the GM of the Phoenix Mercury at one point as well. So you've done a lot of different things in the sports world. That's
Again,
for sure.
Well, and I tell people too, you don't want to look back in life and say, what if?
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you. And sometimes you may not feel that you're prepared or that you're not good enough or you don't have the experience. But somebody's giving you a chance. Somebody believes in you. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes you have to take those chances. And whether it works out the way you had hoped it to or not, the fact that you stepped forward is huge.
Yeah. So in addition to that piece of advice, if you could pick one other piece for young women trying to get into the sports world or into broadcasting or coaching or front offices, what would it be?
Well, one, it takes a lot of hard work. It does. And you got to be who you are. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are going to try and change you on how you look, what you need to say, how you stand, and so forth. But, certainly, again, that person that's in a position of hiring you, they like you for a reason. Right. And so you just got to be yourself. But it takes a lot of hard work, and you got to keep up with it.
Right. So I'm in the process of reading your book right now. And that was one of the things you talked about in one of the chapters was when you were first starting broadcasting, everyone was like, oh, you have to grow your hair, you have to get your nails done, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, we kind of still have those. They're a little less, more under the table nowadays, I guess.
I think maybe because
but
I'm so much older than everybody,
No.
So I'm just who I am. And there have been stages that I did kind of grow my hair longer, and I think it's just the athlete in me. It was just so hard having long hair playing sports for me, and it just, even in broadcast, it's just so much easier to go. And but I think too in the broadcast business that most of the women that are in front of the camera do have long hair.
Mm-hmm. And, I have long hair.
And dress a certain way. I mean, I think a lot of people that are in the studio that I don't recall seeing too many women wearing slacks.
Right.
A lot of them are wearing dresses and heels. Mm-hmm. And sometimes heels aren't always that comfortable.
They're never comfortable. Let's
and it's
be
like,
honest.
why should we wear them when they can't see our feet on TV?
Exactly.
So what's the big deal?
I love, though, that it's kind of becoming more trendy, if you will, and acceptable to start wearing actual like sneakers with dressier clothes?
Well, when I was working
I'm
at
pulling that off this year a lot. I'm just going to
should.
let you know.
You should. You just stand on a box when you do the interview then with the players. But one of the first persons that did that when I was working at ESPN was Robin Roberts.
Oh, really?
Robin and I worked. She did play-by-play, and I did the analyst work. And of course, she's like 6 foot anyways, and so she'd walk in with tennis shoes all the time. Now she wears heels on Good Morning America all the time.
I'm not a fan of high heels, and I'm a fan of pants, too.
My feet
so
are
I'm
not a
with
fan.
you, Annie. We are on the same page. All right, let's talk a little bit of Phoenix Mercury. Playoffs are just around the corner, and this year has been quite an interesting year with a lot of injuries and everything, but kind of some cool stuff coming out of that as well. I know Brittany Griner and Duana Bonner are kind of in that running for the MVP. How have you seen those two have an impact this season?
Well, with Diana Taurasi out, she had back surgery, and it's been a tough comeback for Diana this season, and I think it's affected the team quite a bit. But give them credit. I mean, as far as Griner and Bonner stepping up to the plate, we had really a good rookie class coming in with Cunningham and Turner and Smith, but Smith got hurt. Essence Carson's got hurt.
So many injuries.
Sancho Little got hurt. Diana Taurasi was hurt. So it's been tough. But other players have had to step up. And whether it's the Mercury or any other team, it doesn't have to be WNBA, NBA, whatever the league, that players get hurt. Other players have to step up. And certainly I think Brittany Griner has probably played her best basketball this year. And she leads the league in scoring going into the playoffs. She'd probably be leading the league in blocked shots if she didn't get suspended for 3 games. And but
we won't go down that road.
But it shows you that there's still a lot of passion and physicality in this game, and I think it woke a lot of people up too. Certainly, nobody wants to get hurt, but I think that sometimes as a player you can only take so much sometimes, the physicality of the game or what is being done to you. And she reacted, and believe me, we've seen men do this all the time in sports. So
it's not new.
No, and but I thought it's interesting that what they showed, they didn't get the whole thing. Like in the NBA, you've got like 15, 20 cameras, and they pick up every little replay from every different angle. And in the WNBA, you don't have that many angles to look at, so you miss completely what happened really to lead up to everything. But getting back to the kind of year that Brittany Griner is having, and and a lot of the players in this league, it's really been an exciting season this year. The fact that the Mercury are in the playoffs again, they always do damage, and they're always there at the end.
What has that been like? Because you've been with the Mercury for quite some time. Just all of the success that they have had, experiencing that with them.
For me, it's a joy. I've been with the league since 1997 when it first happened, and I was broadcasting for NBC. And then I was doing ESPN, and then I did the Sparks for 9 years and so forth. And then coming here has been such an incredible journey. And but I will say that when I was doing NBC, the very first game that they did for the WNBA was New York at LA. And it was so exciting. And then we did a back-to-back game. So that was a Saturday game. We flew into Phoenix to do the Phoenix Mercury against the Charlotte Sting. Okay. And this place was packed. It was jumping. Cheryl Miller was the coach. Jennifer Gillum and Shell Timms and Bridget Pettis were like kind of the mainstays. And but it was packed. It was loud. It was crazy. And to be a part of seeing what the X Factor fans do still today, it's crazy. They are passionate. They are behind their team. Even when the Mercury struggled, they are behind the team. And the players really appreciate it. And the organization, they've done a great job keeping this organization out there as one of the primary franchises. Yeah,
I mean, I think for us, we've been lucky with the X Factor knowing that great support from that fan base. But I think the W as a whole is getting way more support now from other athletes, from media outlets, just on social media in general. How have you kind of seen that change in the last couple of years, and how are you feeling about the fact like finally people are paying attention and like see the product that these women are producing?
It is, like people say, everything takes time. but certainly 23 years in, we are making changes. We have a new commissioner in Kathy Engelbert, and she's dynamite. Not to say that the other 4 women weren't beforehand, because they made things happen in this league and the changes, but I really foresee a great future for the WNBA. I think this league has established itself as soccer has, as women's hockey has, tennis and golf, and so many other sports in this country for women, that you talked about social media, that the voice of a woman is very important. And using the platform of what these women do, they can get the word out, whether it's bullying, whether it's,
inspiring women. I mean,
it is.
We did
there's
that
so
the
many
other
issues.
day, too.
We hear the men talk about different issues and so forth, but coming from a woman's voice too, which a lot of them are mothers and daughters in this this league, that the community, I think, it really backs it. And not only the community itself, but as you said, nationally, it's gotten so much more. And, you look at 2020 coming up, and the Olympics are coming up. And women's basketball is going for its 7th straight gold medal. And we're the only team, we're the only, men or women athletes that's happened for. And hopefully there's going to be more recognition and more respect for that. Right now, in the 6 straight Olympic gold medals that they've won over a course of, 24 years, that they are 101. And is their record, and
that's impressive,
and pretty good looking at Tokyo. That I think we're going to put together another great team, and foresee another gold medal. But that's impressive to know that these women have sacrificed and given to the sport that they love for their country too.
What was your experience like in the Olympics?
Oh wow!
Well, you had 2, didn't you? 1 playing and then 1 broadcasting.
Well, I've broadcasted for NBC since 2000.
Oh, okay.
And
gotcha.
So I was there 2004. Well, actually, my first one was 84 in LA with ABC. And but it is my dream there was a dream to go to the Olympics, and I was hoping to be it in track and field because I was a high jumper and pentathlete, and but basketball ended up happening for me in that, and representing your country, wearing your country's name on your jersey, and seeing the flag go up and hearing your national anthem. There's nothing like it. It really is pretty special. And I grew up in an era too that you had to be an amateur. Now you have professionals competing, and certainly it was a different approach towards the Olympics back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. But it still is. There's nothing like it. It was the best feeling.
That's fun. I wish I could have seen that. That would have been amazing. Okay, let's talk a little bit of Suns basketball. That's just around the corner. A lot of new faces on this team this year, both on the team and behind the scenes, and the coaching staff and the training staff. What are you most looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to seeing Monty Williams and the staff, not only his staff, but and I've seen some of the practices, just his demeanor on the court and how the players respond to him, and certainly it's a new generation. It's a new journey for us.
Yeah.
And certainly I think the Suns, everybody in the organization's excited. Talking in the office and everything. But Devin Booker, excited for him. I mean, he has just grown, not just on the court, but I think maturity as a young man. And I said last year to him coming in the season, I said, oh yeah, now you've really grown, because now you can really grow in your goatee. I can see it. And because he wasn't really shaving when he came in.
No, it was just a couple little hairs the first season I was here, and now it's like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Hi, welcome.
But the growth of DeAndre Ayton and having Ricky Rubio come in, I think is huge. A lot of people are excited about Cam Johnson, and the guy can shoot. The guy can really shoot. And
he is a phenomenal young man. I had him on the podcast a few weeks ago, and you're going to really like him. He's very mature, very respectful, just an all-around really well-raised, good kid. And obviously a really good basketball player too, which is
we've got a good mix of veterans and young players, and I think that's going to be fun to see how we mesh together. And we're opening up. First 10 games are tough trips, and so we cannot take those losses to heart. Everything's got to be a learning process, and I think Monty's going to have a handle on things.
I think one of the things that can help with that too is, like you were saying, we've got like younger vets on this team. So they're still going to be playing and contributing, but also helping that locker room atmosphere a lot more, I feel like, than we had in years past.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that people will look at what's on the court and how players are playing, but it's what's going on in the locker room and off the court.
It has a huge
and
effect.
the relationships and how everybody accepts their roles. And that's going to be, interesting how we come into the season and how everybody plays their roles, because that, again, is a process on not only how to learn how to play with each other, but also to accept the role and how many minutes you're going to get and how many shots you're going to get and so forth. And, and so much depends on your opponents.
Yeah, and I think Monty's going to help with that too, in terms of like accepting the roles amongst these teammates, because he's so very focused on team and not individuals, and not this is our best player or this is our best player or whatever. It's how can everybody on this team help each other
And
be a better team.
He's been in the league long enough,
Yeah.
and not only as an assistant coach, a head coach, and understands and has had great mentors to see how teams have developed and so forth. And so he's got a great handle on things.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be fun. And it's like right around the corner. Can you
Right
believe
around
this
the corner.
summer went so fast?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm
know.
looking forward to the Mercury continuing their season into the playoffs, but I'm really excited about the Sun
I
season
know.
coming
It's a
up.
really fun, 4 weeks right now
Yeah.
with the Mercury in the playoffs and the Sun season right around the corner. Couldn't ask for a little bit of
That's right.
a better timing in the year, that's for sure. Annie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Really
Lindsay.
appreciate
Have
your
a
time.
great year.
Thank you. You too.
You will. Look forward to it.
We'll have you back on soon, I
Okay.
promise.